Thank you so much for joining me for this yoga session. Hopefully, you're doing well, staying safe, and taking care of yourself. And please do that as we move through this practice. Make sure you gather all the things you need. You've got a yoga mat, or at least as much room as a yoga mat would have, so you've got room to stretch out, blocks, blankets, something to drink. And when you're ready, let yourself settle in. Let yourself just be here with your breath. Sometimes it takes more effort than other times to unhook from the present, unhook from what's going on, unhook from the story in your head, and just pay attention to the present moment. But that is what you are practicing, doing that over and over and over. Showing yourself kindness, compassion, and love as you do that. So you positively influence your own mindset. And that gives everything a better outlook. And you are making that change from within. And so the breath is coming in and out of your body however it feels comfortable, whether it be through your nose or your mouth. You're filling up those lungs. On the inhale, you're releasing fully. On the exhale, start to do the 3-part yoga breath. You fill up the lower third, middle third, and then upper third, and then release fully, upper, middle, lower. Letting that 3-part yoga breath grow as full and deep as feels good to you. Take your time. There's no need to rush. But when it feels good to you, let the body get involved. So as you fill up the bottom third of your lungs, press your navel into the space in front of you. The middle third, you feel those ribs move up and apart. And the breath goes into the upper third. The heart lifts up in your chest. And then you exhale, heart and chest relax, ribs move down and together, and then pull that navel back and up into your body. And then the inhale happens again. You fill up, navel, ribs, chest, exhaling fully, chest, ribs, navel. Stay with that awareness of your whole self, coming out of your head and your thoughts and dropping into your body, your heart, your trunk, someplace right behind your navel. Just be with your breath. You're cultivating that connection to the witness, not so much the judge. You're just witnessing, becoming aware. And you can start to let that lower girdle engage. Remember, if your feet are tingly or your legs feel uncomfortable at any time, move them so they are comfortable. Start to pull that back body down, lift that front body, flex those feet, press those knees away. Doesn't matter what your legs look like as you do that. That's that solid base, and you can feel that engagement from your navel dimples and dimples in the back of your body down. And then from that place of support, so be there and feel that and notice that coming from within. At the same time, feel that lift and that stretch all into that space around you that you are meant to take up. This is where the upper girdle gets involved. The heart lifts, the blades gently come down, they engage, they pull into their place in your body. They're not winging out, but they're not squeezed together. And so the back body is supporting and holding the front body, and they're working together in order to keep you lifted. And still your breath is full and deep, navel, ribs, chest. Exhaling fully, chest, ribs, navel. You're cultivating that connection to the witness. You're leading with kindness and compassion and love towards yourself. And every time you find yourself not paying attention to your breath in the present moment, just gently bring yourself back to that. That is exactly when you're doing it right. So your hands can come to your heart, and that was a couple of my intentions for the practice. Please take a moment to set any personal intention you might be working with. And then together, keeping those girdles engaged so you stay grounded and you stay lifted. Let your arms reach only wide as feels good, coming up above your head if that feels good, protecting those elbows. Exhale, pulling down into your heart center. The more you keep that girdle engaged, you're going to feel that slight stretch on your upper body and your upper arms. Inhaling as you lift. Exhaling as you pull down. Inhaling, third time. And that seals in those intentions. If you're sitting up tall on something, take time to pull it over. You're sitting up against a wall. Come so you're a little bit more in the middle of the space. Let those legs unwind. Start to do a few little windshield wipers, or maybe a little bounce, or some combination of that. You're still protecting your joints. You're keeping your knees, and you're not putting any weight on your arms. You're keeping your knees and elbows protected. Inhaling and exhaling. And then back into just whatever comfortable seated position. Make sure you've got room next to your arms down to your sides, and then turn your palms up. And I want you to protect your elbows, don't hyperextend. This is going to be a stretch for the shoulder, and if it's too much, only go up as high as feels good. But it's going to be palms up on the inhale, coming up only as high as feels good. And then rotating at the shoulder, palms down, still protecting those elbows on the exhale. So then that's the move. Inhale, palms up and reach. Exhale, rotate at that shoulder, palm down. Keep those elbows protected. Keep pressing down into the space below you. Keep lifting and reaching up into the space around you. Try to keep that shoulder out, those shoulders out of your ears. One more time. Inhale. Keep that girdle engaged. Reach those arms up. And then the exhale, rotate. Feel that gentle rotation at your shoulder. Still protect those elbows, those wrists. Bring those arms down. And just breathe. Notice how you feel. Hands can be wherever feel good. Inhaling and exhaling. Stay with your breath. Stay with the present moment. Notice how you feel just after that activation of your girdles. Let's come on to our back, and let's start there. So find yourself on your back. I am going to make a very, very not very thick cushion for my back of my head, and that is just for, it helps me, I put it right where my occipital lobe is. It helps me remember to keep my chin tucked. So, and that's one of those things, play around with it, but notice it's not putting my neck out of, really out of alignment. You want to make sure that you always are reaching the crown of your head right from your spine. So when you get down onto your back, keeping those knees bent, keep breathing, letting the windshield wiper happen. Keep trying to press both glutes into the floor, and especially if that feels good on your body, picking up and rocking and circling. If this does not feel good on your body, leaving your feet down on the floor and doing whatever feels good. Your upper body, you're trying to stretch it, trying to take up still all that space. You're still trying to lift your front body and pull your back body down in all the positions. Eventually you're going to find those feet on the floor. We're going to have those feet right near our glutes, only hip distance apart, and we'll do that pelvic adjustment. You can do the navel and the fingers come together in that diamond shape, and the thumbs come to your navel and the fingers come to your pubic bone. And you can play around a little bit with the tilting of your pelvis. This is where you can really feel that tilting of that pelvic girdle. And so you want to come to that place. And for me, it is a lot of work, and it is taxing on my body to pull my pelvis into that place that supports me the best. You might not have to do as much movement, but I bet you have to do some sort of engagement. All right, keep spreading your collarbone apart, hands down and come down by your sides. All that to be said, that's so you engage your trunk, and then on your next inhale, press into those feet, not those toes. Lift that engaged trunk coming up to your shoulder blades, and you're going to lower and lift a few times. Inhaling and exhaling. So there's a lot of setup, just like if you've been coming to my yoga classes, there's a lot of setup with table. There's a lot of setup with the beginning of bridge. Don't let those toes grip. Keep pressing those balls and those heels into the mat. The next time you're lifted up, pause. We're still early in the class, so you don't have to roll your shoulders. I do want you to keep pressing into those feet. Keep those knees like they're active and they're pointing to where the wall and the ceiling meet in front of you as you pull that back body down and lift that front body. Stay with that engagement of your trunk. You haven't let it go yet unless you have, because you want to relax, but the more you can maintain it, and then lower down, stay with that engagement. When you get down, then let it all go. And then do whatever feels good, whether it be rocking or circling or windshield wipering, inhaling and exhaling, letting yourself move however feels good. Rotating those ankles so you get that lactic acid movement, that joint juice starts to move around in those tendons and those joints, and you're being very delicate with that. All right, back into that beginning bridge position. Keep trying to press your glutes onto the floor. Keep lifting your front body, pulling your back body down. Find that pelvic alignment so you feel supported, and then that right leg is just going to lift, and the knee is going to come on top. The right knee is going to come on top of the left knee. I'm still trying to keep my right glute on the floor, even though my right leg is in that cross-legged position. That's something too to pay attention to when you sit cross-legged. You still want to keep, if your back hurts, it's because you're not keeping those hips in that place of support. So you're still trying to press that right glute down even though you've got that right leg crossed. All right, hands are going to gently clasp, or not even clasp. You're just going to let them dance behind your ears. Keep pulling those elbows wide. Take an inhale, exhale, lift knees, so lower body and then upper body together. And if you do one of those and think, oh my God, this sucks, then I want you to keep your lower body down and just lower and lift your upper body, or the other option is keep the upper body down and lower and lift the lower body. Whatever you're doing, you're keeping those shoulders out of your ears. You're keeping those elbows wide. You should see the elbows in your peripheral. You should not be bringing your elbows towards your legs. Keep squeezing your knees together. That helps. Another one. Take another inhale and then lift. And so, in case you didn't cross your right leg over your left leg, pay attention to that. You're going to let that leg unwind. I want you to do whatever feels good to reset. I think that's just as important as the move. Inhale and exhale. You're still holding yourself in your trunk, pulling that back body down, lifting that front body. So now that left leg is going to cross over that right leg. Try to keep that left glute connected. So pay attention. Is it up in the air? Keep trying to bring it down. Maybe you don't cross as much, but that's okay. You're bringing those hands behind your head. They're not even pulling on your neck. You're keeping those elbows wide as you gently crunch together. Remember, you don't have to do the double crunch. You could do one or the other. You can do 5 with the upper body, 5 with the lower body. Keep those elbows wide no matter what you choose. Inhaling and exhaling. Keep trying to press your glutes down into the mat, and then eventually you're going to be done. And you're going to reset, you're going to rock, you're going to circle, whatever feels good. Inhale, and exhale. Let yourself stretch really long on your mat. This, I think, feels amazing. I want you to keep those girdles engaged, so keep everything in that place of support as you let those legs extend down your mat. Your arms can reach above your head. You're protecting those elbows, not hyperextending anything. I think it feels amazing to press through my heels so I get that nice engagement in the back of my leg. I'm keeping my knees nice and soft. And then feel that nice stretch down your trunk. And then you're going to bring the legs back to that bridge position. And this time, bring that right ankle on top of that left knee. And then this is going to be an oblique. So you've got the right knee bent. You're going to bring that right arm, keep those girdles engaged, that right arm, protect those elbows, is going to lay out on the mat or on the floor next to you. Keep the shoulder out of your ear. Here's another place where you're going to bring your hand, your left hand now, right behind that left ear. You are going to lift your armpit to your right knee, your left armpit to right knee, not your elbow. So let that right arm slide down the mat. And I know that I'm starting on the wrong side for you to see that, but hopefully I'm describing it. And you can see how I'm lifting towards that bent right leg. And I'm just lifting it's that girdle. It's that pectoral. I'm keeping that elbow in my peripheral. It's not pulled right into, like you're trying to crunch in your neck. You're not doing that. It is out to the side. Couple more. And then let yourself reset. Release any engagement. Move how you feel good. Letting yourself reset. And now it is left ankle on right knee. Keep engaging, pressing that right knee away. The left arm is out to the side. The right hand dance behind that ear right next to your neck. You're not pulling the hand on the neck. You're not pulling the, see how I'm doing it right now, pulling the elbow forward. That's not what you're doing. I want you to keep the elbow wide. I want you to really engage that girdle. This is getting into that oblique. Inhaling and exhaling, and it's not to be sexy, it's so you can move around your whole life. All right, let yourself come down, breathing full and deep. Rock, circle, roll to one side, take your time. Come up, all that core work and that trunk work, it tends to make me really warm, so I'm going to start stripping off some layers, and I'm also going to grab a drink. And we're going to come around onto hands and knees and press back into that child's pose. So take your time. Stay with your breath. Make sure you protect yourself. So you've got a blanket down for your knees, if that helps. You've walked your legs as wide as feels good, and you're pressing yourself back into your child pose. Inhaling, exhaling, staying with your breath. You're still trying to find that place behind you of support, and then that reach in front of you with your whole self. Eventually, you're going to be ready to come up into your stable table. Walk those knees right underneath those hips. Bring those hands right underneath those shoulders. Keep those elbows from hyperextending so they're a nice soft bend. And then start to do that teeny tiny pelvic tilt. So this is pulling the back body down. We did it laying down. Now you're doing it seated. It's that same sensation. You're trying to get the pubic bone and the navel in that place. That's place of squaring, of evenness. Pull the blades together and then pull them apart. Pull the blades together, pull them apart. Do that a few times, keeping those shoulders out of your ears, protecting those elbows, and then pause in that place of support. So pulling that back body down, lifting that front body, start to move through your cat and cow, so the move is more in that thoracic middle back. Stay with your breath, inhaling and exhaling. This can be taxing. So if you need to rest, I would rather say rest than hurt yourself. That's always going to be the advice. Inhaling and exhaling, staying with your breath. Move through those few more cat and cows. And then maybe come up into that cat. I love to do this. Come into the cat, and then I bring my knees a little bit further apart, and then I reach back to come back into this beautiful cat child pose, but I'm getting, of course, foot cramps again, like usual. So I'm always managing that, always taking care of myself. Hopefully you are too. You're managing. All right, back into, remember, you're always protecting, never hurting. Back into that stable table. Make sure you've got room behind you. Start with that right leg pressing straight back. Keep pressing evenly into both arms. Stay with that lift of your front body, that pull down of your back body, and don't let that right heel go up too much higher than your right hip. Try to keep that your back pockets even here. Inhaling and exhaling only if it serves you and works in your body. Reach the opposite limb. Inhale and exhale. Keep protecting that kneecap behind you. Keep protecting that elbow in front of you and the one that's supporting you. Inhale and exhale. Now remember, I've got what you've got. I've got right leg, left arm. Come down to rest, letting yourself completely reset. Even if you're holding yourself in your trunk, you can feel it sometimes in your wrists. You're being gentle, staying with your breath. And then lift yourself. You're holding yourself in your trunk. Here's where we're going to the other side, trying to find that same support. Press through that left heel. Try to get those left toes pointed down to the floor. Remember to protect that elbow that is supporting you, and you are breathing full and deep. Navel, ribs, chest. We held the pose, but we don't hold our breath. Inhale and exhale. But remember, if you are starting to hurt yourself, don't come down or back off. Inhale and exhale, and then bring yourself back to rest in your child. Inhaling and exhaling. All right, coming up into your downward dog. When you're ready, all the same things apply. You're not hyperextending those elbows, not hyperextending those knees, lifting that lower trunk up. Keep those knees really, really bent. That helps to put the weight in the back body. Don't let those elbows do too much work. So that's why you keep them from hyperextending. It does feel good to come up onto your toes and get that stretch, but settle onto the balls of your feet. I would recommend trying to always lift your toes a little bit away, and it's not just the pads of your toes, the whole toe, all the way down to the ball. And then rest on those balls, let those heels be heavy, move as much or as little as feels good. Keep those shoulders out of your ears, and then you're going to decide, do I want to drop to hands and knees, if you even are in downward dog, because you can come from hands and knees and step up, or you're lifting to come up, and you can also use support. I like to use blocks, getting those legs underneath you, coming into that forward fold position, finding that hinge position, keeping those knees really, really bent, and then letting yourself move however feels good. Hands in the elbows sometimes feels good. Also, gently resting the hands on the back of the head. That adds like a nice extra press. If you don't like any of those, please don't do them, but try them and see what you think. After a few breaths, you're going to find yourself in your forward fold. Keep those knees bent. Play around with coming back. I don't know if you can see, I'm coming back like I'm almost gonna fall back, and I'm back on the heel, and then come forward like I'm gonna fall into a somersault, and then settle back down into that place of support. Your balls and your heels are connected and holding you, and then you are existing in between that. Inhale, lift halfway up into that flat back. Keep those knees bent to protect those hamstrings. Exhale, reach for the toes. Inhale, halfway into that flat back. Exhale, reach for the toes. We're going to come up. If you want to come up in that great big reverse swan dive, please do. Keep that back nice and long. If you want to come up in steps, you're coming up halfway up, and then you're pressing yourself into that awkward chair. And then from that awkward chair, coming to standing, and then only if it serves you, coming into the back bend, lifting those arms up above your head. Keep those girdles engaged, pulling that back body down, lifting that front body, only lifting into that place that feels good to you, and then hands at your heart, your navel, one of each, out to the side. It doesn't matter, but you're coming into your mountain. So you are standing in your mountain. And I want you to have room in front of you and behind you. We're going to work on some balance and some hinging into Warrior 3. It's a really good time to grab yoga blocks or have a wall in front of you or beside you. Play around. Make sure you have that support. So coming into that mountain, in the middle of your space, I'm standing on railroad tracks. I'm engaging down through the balls and the heels of my feet. I'm lifting my digits all the way back to the balls and then spreading them wide and then bringing them down one piggy at a time. And then just for a gentle grip, I really try not to give my toes any work. Kneecaps are pulled up into your thighs and you're not hyperextending, and then you do that first girdle engagement. You pull the back body down, lift the front body, and this is where you're trying to get that evenness. This is glute, this is muscle, this is framework. It's everything engaging and working together to keep you supported. And then at the same time, you've got this solid base. You should feel light in your upper body. The heart lifts, the blades come down and together. You feel this gentle pressure on the top of your shoulders. And your arms are reaching from their sockets, elbows protected, wrists and delicate fingers protected, and you are then lifting the crown of your head up to the sky and your tail down to the ground. And that is the sensation always. Crown up, tail down, and you right in the middle. And so finding that place right in the middle of your mat, I want you to play around with bringing your upper body forward into just that halfway position. And this is where you might want to have the blocks or the wall right in front of you, because you're going to, so I really want you to feel you press that crown and that tail away from each other, and then let the right leg start to float back. And if you don't want to bring that leg up into that balanced Warrior 3, and this is where you could be reaching for blocks or the wall if you need it, and you are not taking yourself too seriously as you play around with that Warrior 3 position. Keep trying to keep your back pocket square to the sky. Don't let your weight come forward on your toes. Inhale and exhale. Use support to feel supported, right? That's why you use it. And then challenge yourself. Inhale and exhale. And then let that right leg come down. Lift yourself up into that standing position, and then just take a couple moments. I like to sometimes move around. Feel the body settle back into that place it was, or feel the body settle, and then you can feel how it has changed, how there's been a shift. So same thing, you're protecting those kneecaps, you're back in that mountain pose. This is a lot of trunk and girdle work. You're engaging that back body, pulling it down, lifting that front body. Keep those knees protected. Don't let your toes do any work. And that, make sure you got room behind you. First of all, that upper body comes forward into that hinge position, and you are halfway up. It takes a lot of work to do this. And then I ask you to let that leg, and I see how I stack my blocks, it gives me a little bit more, to then let that back leg, the other one, the one you didn't lift before, like I am now pressing that left leg back there, keeping that right kneecap protected. I am going to challenge myself in my balance, and I'm not going to, right, I'm not going to take myself too seriously and let my ego get in the way if I fall, because that's just what happens. Inhale and exhale, stay with your breath and challenge yourself a little bit more. Remember, back pockets to the sky, front pockets to the mat. All right, let that leg float down, and then when you feel solid, and then let that upper body lift up. Hands make their way to your heart, your navel, out to the side, breathing full and deep. It can be one of each too. It really doesn't matter. As long as you are protecting yourself and receiving, it's always, just think it feels amazing to receive. And how, like I said, you feel the body settle back, but you can feel how it's changed and gotten stronger, and maybe your energy is shifting through you a little bit differently. Hopefully you're noticing it and you're loving it. It's amazing. All right, back into, let's face the long edge of the space. Well, I guess it really doesn't matter which way you face. We're coming back into mountain. Hands can come to your heart, and sit yourself back in that awkward chair. So that tail is going down. Keep those toes from doing any work. A lot of times the toes, you want to come forward. You really want to try to sit yourself back. And this is where you can have your hand, like you can have a wall next to you. And you are sitting back in your awkward chair. Now, if you're like, yeah, I got it, and you want to reach above your head, please do. If you're like, no, I'll just keep my hands at my heart, or keep them at the side of the hips, or one of my favorites is bend those elbows so you really engage that upper girdle, and you kind of do this like little, I'm not moving the trunk, and the shoulder is, like, right, the arm is moving at that shoulder girdle. Inhale and exhale, stay with your breath. Couple more, press evenly back into those back pockets, keep lifting those hearts. You've got the movement, you're not pulling your blades together, you're just letting that arm move in that socket. If you are moving, let that go, press into those legs. Coming to that standing position, I think it's going to feel amazing to come into a back bend. You might not agree, but if you want to, keep those girdles engaged and lift and stretch, finding that length over that imaginary big ball, and then hands to your heart, navel, one of each, out to the side. Notice how you feel, soak it all up. Navel, ribs, chest, exhaling fully, chest, ribs, navel. And then come to, if you want to go through to downward dog, you're coming through downward dog, however feels good. Try to find that hinge, not round. So keep trying to pull that navel and that pubic bone. You're trying to always pull them and lift them and find that hinge at your hips. Keep those knees bent. You can walk yourself out to a delicious downward dog, which I just think this feels amazing. Of course, you can rest into your child whenever you're ready. If you want to marinate for 2 to 3 more breaths, though, I would say go for it. And then eventually come and rest down in your child, letting yourself completely reset back in that child's pose. So eventually you're going to be done with the child's pose. I'm actually going to start to put on a layer again. I'm starting to feel chilly. It's still... All right, find that comfortable seat just for a few breaths. I'm going to make a little cushion for myself, and then find that breath as I'm seated on my mat, legs showing up however feel good, but I'm still engaging, pulling that back body down, lifting that front body, pressing those knees away, flexing those feet as much as feels good to you. It doesn't have to be a lot, but a little bit. And that helps to support. And then lift and breathe and notice how you feel. Inhale and exhale. Stay with your breath. And then we're going to just do some gentle twists side to side. So make sure you've got room to stretch out. You're going to inhale, lift, maybe bring those palms together. And then exhale, turn those palms. Remember we did this at the beginning? Turn those palms down. See how we did that? And then come down. See how it all comes full circle? You're coming into that twisted position. Inhale and exhale, and then lift. Bring those palms up. Exhale, palms out. So you're not hurting your elbows as you do that. And if you don't like it, you don't have to. But it does give this wonderful rotation at that shoulder girdle. But really, remember, you're the boss of you. Couple times, I want you to pause. Whatever way feels good to you. It doesn't matter which way you pause. You have two sides. We're only going to pause for a few breaths on each side. Keep pressing down into the mat. Keep trying to keep your navel anchored, and your heart is what's rotating. You're now going to come through centered and move to the opposite side. Your gaze is wherever feels good, but the more you try to pull that navel and it's anchored back into that place in front of you, and then you're lifting and rotating the heart, you get that move right there in that thoracic spine, which gets no love. All right, let yourself unwind, bringing your hands back in front of your heart. Notice how you feel, breathing full and deep. And then bring yourself down onto your mat. Take your time. This is where you are going to take a few moments and do something that maybe feels good to you before you go into relaxation. Or maybe you're like, nope, I'm really ready for relaxation. So then make yourself a nice relaxation nest. If you don't want to lay in relaxation, you can also meditate. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do a quick heart opener here as we're all settling down, just for this one last stretch open. I'm being very careful. You're always being careful, protecting yourself, keeping your girdles engaged. Inhale and exhale, but it's all about, for me at least, it's all about trying to get that heart, and the whole rib cage is what lifts and moves. This is how I basically grew an inch in my 30s. Inhale and exhale. I did this every day for like 3 to 4 minutes, and sometimes not even that long. Sometimes only for a minute. And it's amazing too when you then lift, and it's a high one, so you got to be careful. Oh my gosh, you can feel the back body pulling down and the front body lifting up, and it's amazing. All right, whatever you decided to do, you settled in on your mat now after doing all that, and I am going to meditate. If you would like to meditate, do that. Just sit supported or up against a wall, and we'll let all this goodness settle in. This is like you've shaken up the snow globe, and now you're going to let all of the bits settle. So let yourself settle. Close your eyes and soak it all up. what position you find yourself in, your awareness comes back to you, your breath. Let that breath be full and deep. Keep your awareness there at your navel. Don't go into your thoughts yet. Don't go into your to-do list. Stay. Marinate for just a few more breaths as a twitch comes into your fingers and your toes. A gentle circling of your wrists and ankles. A bend of your knees and elbows on your back. Make sure that you come onto your back to do that rock and circle or windshield wiper, and then roll to rest in that fetal-like position. That very first position you were ever in. And once again, no matter what position you're in, your awareness comes to your navel. That place that where we all started, and you are grateful to yourself for being born and grateful to yourself for doing yoga. Now you can take yourself and your intention and go out and do awesome things with it. All right, so press yourself up into an upright position if you're laying down, being careful to protect all the delicate parts. Seated, make sure you're comfortable. Your hands can come to your heart. Take time to turn inward and be grateful. Namaste. Thank you all so much. It has been my pleasure.